back everyone to part 17 of our Smart Enemy AI series. And in this part, I'm going to be showing you how to create this really cool Mage attack. So right now we have only one Mage attack, or we had only one Mage attack before this tutorial. And now I'm going to show you this, what I call a barrage attack, that fires multiple projectiles at the player in a random pattern. So not directly at the player, but around the player randomly, so that it's harder to predict where they're going to go. And of course we're going to be integrating this in our behavior tree to choose one of the two attacks to do based on a cooldown. So let's get started. Alright, so our mage enemy so far has one attack. So it teleports, does this one attack, and then teleports again. And it's the same spell that the player has. So now I want to add a second spell for this mage enemy. So let me start by showing you the animations. So going to my characters, mage animations. This is the animation I'm going to be using, and again, an animation I got from Mixamo. I'll leave the name and a link down in the description. But yeah, it's basically this cast. But we'll be modifying the animation a bit. So I'm going to increase the wind-up time so that this takes a bit longer, and then boom, this happens all of a sudden. And the part in the end, I'm also going to increase its duration for a bit. And what's going to happen during this animation is that the mage enemy will continuously keep firing projectiles at the player. Alright, so let's start by creating the montage. We go to our animation, right-click, create and a montage, call it montage mage barrage attack. So I'm calling it barrage, which is a term used in artillery warfare to mean a concentrated attack on a specific area. And I also see it in a bunch of other games. I think I remember it from RuneScape or something. But I like the name, and I'm going to call it that. Alright, so because we're going to have a wind-up time, slow motion time, and then the rest of the animation, then I'm going to use it 3 times, just like we did in the previous one as well. So I'm going to take it once, twice, and 3 times. So the first one, I want it to end somewhere around, yeah, here, maybe 0.65. And the second one will start at 0.65 and end at around, let's say 0.8. And this first one, I want it to play at not its normal speed, but like at 0.7, so a bit slower than its normal speed. And the second one, I want it to be a lot slower than its normal speed, so 0.2, for example. So then, what did I write here? Oh, this should end, oh, this shouldn't, sorry, start at 0.65, it should end at 0.65. I keep making that mistake. And this starts at 0.65 and ends at 0.8, yeah. And this, of course, starts at 0.8 and ends at the end. So let's see what this looks like. And wind up, boom. I think it looks nice. Yeah, so the wind-up time is to give the player enough time to react, so they know what's happening. But let me play this also last part a bit slower, maybe 0.8 as well, to increase the total duration of the montage. And, alright, very nice. So now we need some effects, some particle effects in our montage. Now, I'm going to do like this, I think I'm going to be using all of the particle effects from the Paragon Gideon asset pack that we're already using in a bunch of different things. And I'll leave a link for it in the description as well. So I think around here, I want to add, let me just add 2 tracks. So we have 2 notify tracks. And I'm going to right click, add notify particle effects. I think this one is called hands something. Yeah, emote FX hands. And I'm going to attach this one to the right hand of the mesh. And I am going to, let me show you what this looks like. So it's this effect on the hand. Yeah, I'm gonna make it slightly bigger, so scale it to 1.2 on each axis. And I'm gonna copy it and paste it on the second track to put one for the left hand and one for the right hand. This starts at 0.26. Let's also start this at 0.26. And I'll attach this one to the left hand. All right, yeah, and that's how it looks. And then two things we want to do. We want to add a montage notify for when we're supposed to fire the projectile. So probably at around right here. Yeah, let's say around right here, around 1.9. I want to fire the projectile, and let's say we fire one every 0.5 seconds. So let's add one here, add notify, montage notify, call it fire. And let's make sure the time is 1.9, and then we're going to copy and paste it every 0.5 seconds. So next one is 2.4. The one afterwards is 2.9, and then the one afterwards is 3.3 and 3.8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the montage is over here. So this is just the rest pose. So yeah, it's gonna fire 5 times like this, and boom, 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 boom. Now I also want to add some particle effects when we do fire from our hands. And the particle effect that I'll be using, so let me add it here, add notify, play particle effect. Obviously, if you're using Niagara, then use play Niagara effects. And if you have a particle effect like a sword trail or something that plays on a duration, you can add a notify state instead of a notify. So this notify state, you can say timed particle effects, and then you can just drag this to when you want it to start and end. But for my case, the particle just spawns and then disappears afterwards, so it's a regular particle effect. What was it called? I think it was cast something. Yeah, underscore primary underscore cast. And we want to attach this to the right hand as well, or left, a hand, doesn't matter which. And let's see what this looks like. I think it's compiling shaders still. Yeah, but it's spawning here. Let's actually drop it down a bit on the z-axis. Oh, I just pulled it up. Let's then make this 45 on the z-axis. Yeah, it's not really positioning correctly. Let's make it 20. Whoops. How does 20 look? It's not bad. Yeah, I think it's fine. Just, okay, 15, just to make it right in the center. Okay, and then we're gonna copy and paste this roughly around this same time as all of these notifies. So then our final montage looks something like this. And boom, 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 boom. Very nice. I like it. Now let's start using the montage. So we go to our enemies folder and go to open up our Mage. Let's close all of this and give me my event graph. All right, so right now we only have one attack event. Just like we did for the melee enemy, we're gonna create 2 or more attack events. So let's comment this, call these attacks, and let's give ourselves some room here. So the first attack, this is going to be called the basic attack. I don't know if you have a better name, please go do that. But yeah, I'm just going to create a custom event, call it basic attack, and takes as input the attack target, which is an actor. And then I'm just going to replace the attack with this one. So this is going to be our basic attack. And I'm going to call it here as well. So the default attack is the basic attack, just like we did for the melee enemy. Now I'm going to copy all of this and paste it down here. So now I have a new custom event, and I'm going to call this one the barrage attack. Great. And of course, it's going to play the montage that we just created. So the barrage attack montage. So right now we use the same notify fire. So this should do the same thing. Oh, don't forget to plug in the attack target here and here. It got disconnected. It's very important. Well, let's actually see what it looks like now without doing much more. We just have to replace the basic attack with the barrage attack then. Because obviously our behavior tree is just calling attack. It doesn't know yet about basic and barrage. But let's see what this looks like. So play, enemy should teleport, and start doing a barrage of attacks. Ooh, nice. I think it looks pretty cool. But we're going to replace this projectile with a different one. Because I want each attack to have its own sort of projectile or particle effect. I think then it's cooler. And then the player can differentiate between them. So let's see how we can do that. Let me just remind you again, this magic spell spawns this projectile. So I'm going to go here and create a copy of this BP projectile dark energy. Make sure to check out the how to shoot or how to create projectiles tutorial that I made a while back if you need a refresher on how this projectile system is working. But for now, I'm just going to copy this and call it Dark Energy Alt, which stands for alternative. But the main difference between these two is going to be the particle system, which is just the effect that displays. And instead of this P Gideon burden, I'm going to use the P Gideon primary, which looks something like this. And it has a trail effect as well, so when it moves in the world, it looks a bit cooler than in the editor. So let me reset the location and the rotation, and let me scale it up a bit to like 1.5. No, 1.5 is too big. Let's say 1.2. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then the box collision should be a bit smaller. Let's say 20, 20, 20. Yeah, I think that's about fine. I'm going to keep everything else the same. We can, of course, change the sounds, the impact effect, and so on. Do I have a new impact effect, actually? I had like a muzzle. Yeah, how about this one? What does that one look like? Yeah, it's not a bad impact effect. Let's keep it. All right, and yeah, everything else I will keep the same. So now back to our enemy. Right now we play the same magic spell, right? And this magic spell only fires this BP dark energy. Now, of course, I could copy all of this, paste it, and have a magic spell that fires the first projectile and a magic spell that fires the second projectile. But I think since everything else is common, it's going to be just a lot of duplication. So what I can do instead is modify this magic spell to take an additional parameter and call it alt. And it's going to be a Boolean. So if alt is true, it uses the new projectile. If alt is false, it uses the old one. So how do we do that? You can pull off of this pin and say select. And notice what happens when I do a select here. As soon as I do a select, these become red. And it's complaining that they're no longer part of this spawn actor. And the reason is because this class is just an actor. So when I hover over it, it says actor class. And this speed, target, and instigator are not part of the actor class, they're part of the base projectile class. So to fix that, just unplug this pin, right click here and say change pin type, and then choose the projectile base class reference, not object reference. And now plug it in, and it's not complaining anymore. All right, now take this alt, plug it in here, and you see now we have a false and true. So if alt is false, use the dark energy. If alt is true, use the dark energy alt. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Simple as that. Now back in our mage enemy, I can tell him use alt for this one, and for the first one, I'm gonna keep alt as false, switch it to default. And we can also change the damage. Let's say this one does like 10 damage instead of 20. You can play around with the damage numbers, of course, as you want. All right, now let's see how this new one looks like. And teleport, and boom, nice. Now this is the trail effect that I was talking about. I think this looks pretty cool. And how about the impact effect? How does that look? It's a bit small. Yeah, actually I don't like the impact effect. I'm gonna revert to the old one. What was it called? Hit something? Yeah, this one. Yeah, I think this just makes it a bit clearer and more impactful. Nice. All right, so now there's one more thing I want to do, and that is right now, this attack passes a target, right? So if you recall, magic spell takes a target and gives it to the actor that we're spawning, this projectile actor. And what it does is that it checks where the target is and fires a projectile towards the target. If I do is homing, then the projectile will also follow the target as the target moves, like this. But I don't want there to be homing, and I don't want there to be a target either. Let me explain why. So right now, each one of the projectiles fires directly at the player. So if the player is just moving in a straight line, it's very easy to avoid these attacks, like this. So if I keep moving in a straight line, the mage enemy will always fire where I used to be. So it's quite easy to avoid them. So I want these projectiles to have sort of a random pattern in their firing. So they should fire in an offset, maybe a bit to the left of the player, maybe a bit to the right of the player, randomly. So the player has to really watch where the projectile is going and then dodge it or decide to move away from it. You see this in a lot of games where the projectile has a somewhat random behavior to make things a bit more interesting and more unpredictable. So luckily there's a simple way we can do that. We're just not going to pass a target here. And if we're not passing a target, then the rotation becomes very important, because where we are starting looking at, this is where the projectile will go. If I have it rotating backwards, then it's going to go backwards. So how do we calculate the rotation needed to be a bit to the left or to the right of the target? Well, there is a node called look at rotation. Find look at rotation. And what this node does, let's plug that in here, is it takes a start and a target and gives you the rotation needed to go from that start to the target. So the start is just where we are now, so get actor location. And if the target is the attack target, get actor location, then this is the same behavior we had as just plugging in the target, right? Because now we just fire where the actor is. But instead of firing right where the actor is, what I'm going to do is add to the, what is the y-axis? Yeah, the y-axis, a random number. So I'm going to add to the y-axis a random float. So I'm going to search for random float in range, because I want to give it a range, a max and a min. So add any number between -300 and 300. So this means that 3 meters to the left and to the right of the player, fire anywhere in between that. And then that will be the target. So let's see what this looks like. Now as the mage enemy teleports, and fires. Yeah, see, now the behavior is a bit random. Obviously, at some points I can be standing still and not get hit, and at other times I can stand still and still get hit. So as it's a bit more random, it's going to keep it more exciting and interesting. So the player really has to think what to do, like, oh, can I go here? Oh, can I go here? And so on. So I think this makes it a lot more fun. Perfect. So now, next step is to actually update our behavior tree to fire, to choose between which attack, because right now we're just doing the basic attack. And let me replace this with the basic attack again. All right, and let's open up our behavior tree. Enemies, AI, behavior trees, BT, enemy, mage. And right here is where we do our attack. So we run an EQS, and there is inside this a teleport and an attack and so on. So just like we did for the melee attack, if you recall, we had a... did I open the mage one? BTT melee attack, yeah. So we had this attack name, and based on the attack name, whether it's short range, long range, and so on, then we pick an attack. So we're going to do the same thing for this attack for the mage. So first we need to create this enum with the attack names for our mage character. So where is my mage? Go to its folder here. I'm going to create a folder, call it mage, and move my mage here. This also blocking state is part of the melee. Let me move it here. All right, so this is called mage enemy. And let's open it up and right click here, search for enumeration, and we're going to call this E_mage attacks. Open it up and we're going to add 3. A default, a basic attack, and our barrage attack. Nice, closed it up. And now in our BTT mage attack, we want to add a new variable here, call it attack name, and click on the eye icon and set its type to E_mage attacks, the enum we just created. Now I can do the switch here just to get this enum and do a switch on it and so on, but I actually want to do this inside of a function inside of this task to make it a bit cleaner. So we can actually create functions in here. So let's create a function and call it attack based on name, something like that. And it needs a reference. So as input, it needs a reference to our mage. So do a mage ref, and this is going to be of type BP. BP enemy mage. Yeah, because this is the one that we can actually call the barrage and call and so on. All right, so we get our attack name first. We do a switch. And in the switch, we can then decide which attack to do. So if it's the default attack, we can just call attack, the one with the message written next to it. And our attack target is this guy. So get attack target key, get value as actor. And that's our attack target. Let's move it a bit up here. And our basic attack is just, again, call basic attack. And also give it the attack target. And our barrage attack, finally call barrage attack, and give it the attack target as well. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Now let's call this back here. So instead of attack, I'm just going to remove this, and I'm going to call my new function. And I'm going to pass in my mage ref here. I think, yeah, we cast to a mage enemy here. Yep. I think that's it. So now, depending on this attack name, we will select a different attack. So let's go back to our behavior tree. And now we want this one to be one of two different attacks. Now you can decide what you want this attack to be based on, whether distance, whether cooldown, whether health of the player. I don't know, it can be anything you want. Could be even tokens. One takes 2 tokens, one takes 1 token, and so on. For me, I'm just going to do a simple use case. So I'm going to move this down here and create a selector, because now we're selecting between 2 attacks. So first one is going to be our barrage attack. So select here barrage, and we can name this also barrage attack. And I'm going to copy and paste this and plug it in here. And then this one is going to be our basic attack. And I'm going to name it basic attack. I misspelled attack here. Yeah. All right, and I'm just going to give this one a cooldown of like, I don't know, 10 seconds, and this one a cooldown of, 2 seconds, something like that. So this one, if it's on cooldown, then select this one. And if this one is also on cooldown, then both of these fail, the entire sequence fails, and it goes to the evade sequence. Yeah, let's test it out. So I start playing, everything is on cooldown, so we're doing the evade, teleport, do the basic attack, because the barrage is still on cooldown. Teleport again, barrage still on cooldown, and then barrage is no longer on cooldown, so do that. Whoa, whoa. And then teleport and do regular basic attack again, both on cooldown, so evading. Very nice. I think the enemy is looking good. Oh, one thing actually I want to do as well is the interrupts. So I forgot to talk about the interrupt. Right now, the enemy is interruptible at any time. So if the enemy tries to attack me, let me show you. And I attack her first, like this. Let's hope I'm faster. Yes, nope, I'm not faster. Okay, let's try it again. This time, I'll promise to be faster. Yes, I got you. Nope, I didn't. Okay, last time. And nope, definitely not going to be faster. But anyway, the idea is if I attack the enemy while it's doing the montage, it will be interrupted because we don't say the enemy can't be interrupted. But for this one, for the barrage, I want as soon as the barrage starts for the enemy not to be interrupted. So to do that, I can just, somewhere here, I can pull off of my BPC damage system and say set is interruptible to false. So you can't interrupt me now. But very important, when the attack is over, I'm going to copy and paste this. We want to set interruptible to true again. Great. Now the enemy won't be interrupted while doing the barrage. And I think this makes it a more powerful spell. I think it's pretty difficult to interrupt her anyway during that because she's firing projectiles right in your face. So if you try to fire something back at her, all you'll do is hit the projectile. Watch. Boom. Yeah. Very nice. All right, and I think now we have a pretty powerful mage enemy. As always, thank you all for watching, and if you want to download the full project files, source codes, animations, everything I've done so far until this part, you can get it from our Patreon, link down in the description, as well as right here. And if you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful, please consider giving a like, subscribing to the channel. I'm going to be continuing the next part with a few more common attacks for our enemies, and then I'm going to refactor our attack system to make it usable by multiple different enemies. So maybe for the boss fight mainly, so that the boss can use melee attacks as well as mage attacks as well as range attacks, because the boss should be able to combine a lot of different mechanics. So we're going to see how we can make these a bit more scalable and reusable for multiple different use cases. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you there.